So we have one here from your boy Carr. He says he just traded away Sutton, Callaway, and Mike Davis for Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's a lot, right? It's a lot to give up. Callaway, I don't care about. Sutton, I like. I think he's a good buy low, but I do believe the best player in this deal is Mike Davis, and that's kind of something that I preach here on the show. If you want to package three guys for one, if you get the best player possible in the trade, I think it's a W. What do you think?
Well, I think so. I'd prefer the JT side if there was one more little something to it. If I just got a throw in there, I think it depends your wide receiver depth. That's the thing. You're getting rid of two guys. You're probably frustrated with Callaway. You don't really care, even though he showed something this week. I don't know if this is the time to sell Sutton. Is the thing. I think you probably sell him at a low there because we just mentioned for the same reason you kind of like Tim Patrick. You probably would like Sutton for the same reason. I don't. Mike Davis. You know I'm a Cordero Patterson guy. It has nothing to do with Patterson. I like Mike Davis mainly in PPR formats. I'm just not buying his role on this team. I'm not buying the Falcons. I think that's more of the issue. I'm not buying the Falcons, so I don't really care for it. I don't mind the JT side. Honestly, the 3-for-1. If you're gaining JT, I think he's perfect to buy low now because you saw him at the end of last year. He's kind of like Derrick Henry-esque, where like if you could just get to the postseason based on his schedule, based on how he kind of performed at the end of last year. Him and Montgomery both did it, but could win you the league. So, if he turns on the Jets towards the end of the year and you can get there, you have the depth to do it. I don't mind it at all.
So my trade target article is live at ftnfantasy.com. It's free. Talked about buys, sells, everything. Roster trends, guys to stash, hold, not trade away, guys to cut, everything in there. Jonathan Taylor is listed as a buy low. I remember last year I wrote about him, I think every single week, him and David Montgomery, and it's just like it was dud week. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job here at FTN, or at least lose my trade target job at FTN because I kept telling people to buy and they were just not doing anything. And then Taylor finally took advantage of his soft schedule. He's got a soft one coming up. Miami, Baltimore, teams are running off Baltimore this year. Houston, San Fran, a little tough. Tennessee, Jets, Jags, like those are primetime matchups for Jonathan Taylor. And I mentioned the red zone usage. He's among the leaders in red zone opportunities, and he just hasn't scored yet. Indy is struggling inside the red zone. It's a Carson Wentz thing. I think they'll figure it out inside the red zone. But Taylor, I do believe, is a buy low candidate. Here are a couple other buy low candidates that we have here, Tino. Led at the top with Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Taylor is in there, Devontae Smith, and Kyle Pitts. The biggest question is surrounding, I suppose, Allen Robinson. I mean, what do you do with this guy? He's been a top 10 wide receiver in each of the last two seasons with poor coaching, with poor quarterback play. Do you believe in the talent? I think we need to adjust our preseason rankings to rest of the season rankings. Allen Robinson, for me, not viewed as a wide receiver 1, upside to be a 2. I think a rock solid 3. For me, I'm buying if you have 2 solid wide receivers already. If you're acquiring him to be your 1 or your 2 and you're hurting at the wide receiver position, I don't think it's for you. But if you can acquire him to be your flex play, to be your 3rd wide receiver, I think that's okay because I do believe he has a strong upside. The ceiling is still decent with him in this offense. But man, Matt Nagy gives you pause.
Matt Nagy makes Adam Gase look good. I've never seen anyone capable of doing that. I said that last year. The guy is just. I went on a rant with you off air yesterday. I was like, I don't know how anyone gets to name offensive guru and is just not good at offense. But hey, whatever. I don't give nicknames, right? I'm not the nickname guy. So on that list, real quick, I think the one that stands out the most to me and I feel the most confidence in, mainly based on the situation, is Robert Woods. I think for me, if you just look at it, it's not like he's really underperformed. He just Cooper Kupp's on another planet right now. He's unreal. Cooper Kupp's unreal. And I have Cooper Kupp over Robert Woods. I've always had this decision. I remember as far as when it was Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp. This might have been 2 years ago when they were all ranked at the same point of a draft, and you had that decision. You kind of had to pick which Rams wide receiver you wanted. I always lean towards Kupp. Just because I just kind of like how he fits this offense. I like how he fits Sean McVay's offense. Now he's making plays down the field, and we kind of heard about that in the preseason, and you're seeing his ceiling now because of that. But Robert Woods is reliable, man. I think it's a matter of time. I think the Rams are one of the better teams in football, clearly. That's not a hot take, but they're one of the better teams in football, one of the better offenses in football, and I would want a piece of it for the same reason you would want any piece kind of the Bucs wide receivers and why everyone was losing their mind on Antonio Brown. Like, I know people right now are kind of trying to sell Antonio Brown. If they didn't sell him at the high that, after week 1, it's like, I would buy super low on Robert Woods right now because people are probably frustrated after starting him the first couple of weeks and him underperforming. But I think it's a matter of time. I really think it's a matter of time for him.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. We'll take a quick break here, but I agree. The schedule is nice too. Arizona, Seattle, Giants, Detroit, Houston, Tennessee. Those are really nice matchups. He has 15 targets in his last 2 games. He's been held under 4 catches in 2 of his 3. That only happened twice in 18 games last season, with the postseason included as well. I think the opportunity to buy Woods, again, adjust your rankings, rest of the season rankings. People had him ranked as a borderline wide receiver 1. Solid floor ceiling isn't as high as Kupp, but it's still another guy that could help you out if you're acquiring him to be your 3rd wide receiver or your flex. We're going to talk about a couple sell high candidates here and now with you. Melvin Gordon is one of those guys. James Robinson, Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel, and Mike Gesicki coming off a monster game, a ton of targets. I would sell all of these guys, to be honest. I understand maybe keeping Melvin Gordon. If he's your flex running back, continue to roll this guy out, I suppose. But James Robinson, like, now is the time if you want to sell this guy coming off a good game. He had 1.7 fantasy points at half, and he finished the week as a top 5 running back. What do you think? Would you sell James Robinson, or are you convinced that maybe the usage is going to start to continue to rise?
I'm not. I mean, I could care less for James Robinson, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, I wouldn't touch him. I didn't like how he was evaluated in the draft process, kind of how he was super low, and then he jumped to like a round 4 prospect, round 3 prospect. I think it was just all over the place. So I stood away for the most part. If I have him, I try to sell him high. It just, be careful what you get. Like I said, in one league I have him. Someone offered me Fournette for James Robinson, straight up. I'm not going to get Fournette for James Robinson. That's just, I'd rather hold. Melvin Gordon, I'm holding tight to. I know everyone keeps telling me sell high. I was also told not to draft Melvin Gordon. Not yet. And then I feel personally attacked about the Deebo Samuel one. I'm not going to go too much into that. That one hurt. Okay. I love Deebo Samuel.
I like Deebo too. Like these guys are, you don't need to sell them. They're just candidates. Like, you could sell if you wanted to. Yeah. With Deebo, my thing is that Kittle's going to get more involved. You saw it last week, and you saw Brandon Ayuk as well, right? Brandon Ayuk was a buy low candidate for us, I believe, after week 1. I didn't believe in any of the nonsense that Trent Sherfield was going to take his job and be better. We're seeing Ayuk now more involved in the offense, and I wouldn't sell Ayuk either. I'd hold on to him if you're an owner, and maybe, if people are unhappy about him, you could go ahead and try to acquire him. But yeah, I get the Melvin Gordon thing. And, Andy Barron's nailed it. He came on the show and said that Melvin Gordon was going to be a guy. He was going to be a pain in the butt for Javonte Williams. And it's true. He has been. And Javonte Williams, most of his touches have been when the Broncos are up in games. But my biggest thing there is that you could be 3-0 with Gordon like the Broncos, but the schedule gets much, much tougher the rest of the way. So if you can acquire him for like, I don't know, a Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if you could do that. I would do that. I would lean with that because I do believe Taylor is probably in for a better season.